Bum, 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 bum. Welcome to the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top four and nothing more. Andy, man, it has been an amazing month. We are in the May the Blockbuster be with you. This is the 21st episode, and we are rolling strong. We are going to do something really awesome this week. We are celebrating the launch of the Disney Plus Obi-Wan Kenobi show. And, man, most of us are really big fans of Star Wars, and we have a couple Star Wars fans in our group. So I just wanted to jump into a Rushmore sooner or later of Star Wars. Andy, how are you excited about that?
Dude, I'm so thrilled for this one. I'm surprised it has taken us 21 episodes to get into Star Wars, but I am excited nonetheless that it is here. Man, let me tell you what, this might easily be one of the most difficult top four to narrow it down to. We've gone back and forth. We've had plenty of discussion. We haven't talked about each other's top four, but we do know that they've both been difficult to formulate. So, man, it's just going to be a fantastic time. I'm so excited for today.
Yeah, I have to say this. This has been a great month. We started off with Marvel, and it was the fastest growing episode we ever did. And then we brought in our friend Kaab, and we did Reboots, and it beat the first week fastest to 100. And then right now, as the time of the filming of this, we have our DC episode out, and Omari's episode is killing it with characters. But look, I thought all three of those were really difficult. This one trumps it by far. Look, I've rewritten my Rosie about 50 times today. And so it is going to be really tough. So, Andy, you know how we do it. We have been just rolling with a bunch of our friends. And last month during baseball, we brought on two of our real good friends, Chris Edwards, Thomas Johnson. We brought those two guys on last in our baseball month. And, man, they did fantastic. So we decided to bring them on again because those two guys both love Star Wars. So, look, let's start off with Chris. Chris, tell us about kind of a little bit of your fandom of Star Wars.
I was very young when I got introduced to episode 4 and didn't really understand the concept of sequels until I got a little bit older and realized like what was actually going on in that original trilogy. There's not a whole lot that I rewatch annually, and Star Wars has been one of those that has been a staple in my rewatches since back in the day. It was VHS and then DVDs with the release of bonus features and director commentary and actor commentary. Like there were so just on the original trilogy, there was so much more content to take in just on those stories. It holds a special place. Like when people ask me about my favorite movies, Star Wars episode 5 is really special because that was like my introduction to extra special effects on the big screen.
So Thomas, your fandom is a little different, man. Thomas, tell me about your Star Wars introduction.
I'm trying to remember if I was introduced to episode 3 first, or did I watch 1 and 2 before episode 3? And I don't remember because it was like right before episode 3 came out. And I would have been, what year did episode 3 come out? Like 2004, 6, somewhere like in there. Yeah, I would have been like 10 years old. But when I saw episode 3, I remember being like, yo, these lightsaber battles, like, imagine if I could have a real lightsaber and do this. And actually, a funny story, a lifelong friend that I've had since 3rd grade, we met because we would go to basketball games and we didn't know each other's names, but we would see each other and we would act like we were Jedis fighting each other when we were outside. We'd pick up sticks and be fighting each other and stuff. And so ever since then, man, I just kind of like loved the movies and wanted to learn as much as I could from the movies and stuff like that. And I just finally started diving into all of the crazy like legends and all of the history and the lore of Star Wars and it
so
just
with that being
going.
said, legends. Andy, Chris, Thomas, what's your experience with Legends?
Yeah, for me, I don't really have the experience with that. The second somebody said, "Hey, there's a book of this," I said, "Nope."
I was elected to lead, not to read.
So yeah, as far as Legends go, for me, I don't have enough experience. I'm not going to say it's not good. I haven't experienced enough.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, it sounds awesome. I just haven't done it.
There's just so much. There is so much. It's almost overwhelming to start somewhere.
I've read a little bit. I was actually into some of the early days of Jar Jar stories in there that I thought were interesting. I don't know, and maybe Thomas knows, I don't know how long this arc lasted, but it was one of the ones I was interested in. Like you said, it's overwhelming, and I went and I was interested in exploring the graphic novel and story side of it more. I just was overwhelmed with the options and I was like, yeah, this is too much of a commitment,
Yeah, so I think that's a good way of kind of jumping into where we're going, because we're all going to have some criteria. And I thought, with that being said, today on our Rushmore is going to be actually Rushmore Star Wars characters, but we can pull from our experience. So whatever our experience may be, whether it's Legends or just straight TV canon or all the films canon, I'm going to pull from my own specific, and you guys can do from that. So without further ado, we're going to jump into our Rushmore of Star Wars characters. All right, Rushmore community, it is time to jump into our Rushmore of Star Wars characters, and my buddy Andy is going to go first. I got my popcorn ready. I've got my drink ready. I am ready to roll with this. And so, Andy, tell me what your personal criteria was, and then jump right on into your Rosie, your number 4, and tell us your start of your mountain.
All right, so we've talked about it, right? It is difficult to narrow it down to 4. So it's almost you have to have some kind of criteria to just knock it down, right? If you want to do Legends, if you want to do just movies, if you want to add in the TV series and things like that. So here's what I did. And first of all, let me just give you this little backstory, a little history of me and Star Wars. I was born in 89, so I was past, Star Wars kind of coming out and everything. I did watch it as a kid. My dad's a big fan. I actually remember having the VHS trilogy set, and it was Darth Vader on the side of it, and it was gold, and it was really cool. I remember that being really cool. But then 1999, late 90s, 98, early 2000s, the prequels came out, and before those were released in theaters, some theaters actually re-released episodes 4, 5, and 6 leading up to 1, 2, and 3. And I remember vivid memory, me, my dad, my brother going to the movie theater, and we're just reliving his childhood, and he's kind of sharing it with us. It was a really cool father-son bonding moment. We've talked about it before, generationally passing on this fandom of Star Wars. So with all of that said, that's really what hooked me in to Star Wars. I was a kid who was cheering on little Annie, in the pod races, and Jar Jar was there, right? So a lot of fond memories. With that said, though, here's what my criteria is. I mentioned before, I'm not, I haven't really followed the legends and different things like that. So mine is going to be, actually, all 4 of mine wound up being from some OG characters. Here's what it is.
I don't hate it.
When I say Star Wars, there's more than 4, but these 4 that I'm mentioning, my brain is there. That's it. Star Wars, period. This is it. Okay. So it's not going to be very exciting, but I'm going to tell you, these are my top 4. And I'm just willing to bet there's some Rushmores in here throughout the day. But I'm going to go ahead and start with my Rosie. My number 4 on my Rushmore of Star Wars characters, none other than Chewie. We got Chewbacca. Chewbacca is my number 4. He's just the lovable sidekick, but he's also the guy Wookiee, right? Who can put a serious smackdown, right? Like, he is no joke. He's like Han's number 2. I love it. I love the fact. Here's what I love most about Chewbacca. Obviously, he's just a really cool character, right, in general. But for a character of a movie to be as predominant and as popular and as well known as he is, and have 0 lines, like English lines, like we don't know.
Oh, he talks.
Other than his grunts and his all of that, but he doesn't say things. But like Han will talk to him like he knows what he's saying and stuff. So just so cool. I love Chewbacca. I've actually gone to Disney a few times to their little Star Wars area there, which is really cool. If you haven't done that, it's super awesome. And I got to meet Chewbacca a few times, so that was always fun. But I love Chewbacca. I always just thought he was so cool and so intimidating, man. When you look at what I really liked too is that when they've come out with all these spin-off and different movies based on Star Wars, and the Han Solo movie that came out, and kind of getting that backstory and how him and Chewbacca came together. Like, Chewbacca was supposed to kill him and stuff. Like, it was so cool. It was so cool. So I love Chewbacca. He's my Rosie, my number 4. What do you guys think about Chewie?
Dude, I love Chewie. I love Wookiees. I love the new one that was actually in Boba Fett.
Right.
That guy was pretty dope, and he looked extremely strong. Man, I love his crossbow. That was pretty dope. And here's the thing. He was the co-pilot of the Millennium Falcon and didn't say a word.
Right.
So, what fascinates me about the Star Wars world is that everybody understands every language. It's that's fascinating. But he was fighting to be on my mountain. He was fighting to be on my mountain, and I absolutely love Chewie. And he's like one of those guys that's a fan favorite.
All right, Kirk.
All right. Well, look, I'm going to jump into mine. And very similar to you, Andy. I've got my picks. I have a lot of OGs, to be honest. And that's just because look, I go back to, here's a spoiler. If you haven't watched Marvel, my Marvel Rushmore, my George was Spider-Man, because I think, boom, Marvel, Spidey. My George for last week with DC, Batman, DC. There are several of these characters. If I think Star Wars and they aren't on your mountain, it's trouble. But here's the problem I have with that. There are about 15 characters that fit in that criteria. And you could have had a Rushmore Rosie, a Rushmore of TJs, a Rushmore of, we could have just had our own little separate mountain on each one of the carvings. And so while I was doing this, I kind of knew who 1 and 2 were going to be, as usual. 3 and 4, I changed all the way up until literally walking into this room. And I'm going to go with them. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to eliminate a ton of really popular, important, staples of the Star Wars universe. And honestly, I don't even know why on some of them. Like, I literally texted Andy a little while ago and said, I can't believe I'm eliminating this guy off my mountain, like, or this guy, right? So here we go. My Rosie is going to be none other than probably the protagonist of the whole Star Wars lore, and that is Luke Skywalker. And I'm going to go with my buddy Luke. Yeah, look, check that out. I don't have a cool one, but this is Canon's cool one. I'm going with Luke, man. Look, check it out. Luke was one of the 5 that were kind of jumping in there because, I mean, you can't have Star Wars without Luke. And there were so many things about this character. One, there are many stories since Star Wars. Late 70s, Star Wars came out. Since Star Wars, when people are designing fantasy, science fiction, or whatever, there is a Luke Skywalker clone, if you will, type of character in their stories. He worked his way up to being one of the most powerful Jedi ever. He was the 7th Grand Master. He is, or 8th Grand Master. He is like legitimately amazing. Now, look, what I will say is I really didn't like how they portrayed him in the last set of Disney films. And that's okay. I don't hate the films because of that. I just wish they would have went in a different direction. But in most of the original stories, you see them getting built up. You know, he's Vader's son. He is that whole twist right there just is phenomenal to me. It was a great twist. I can remember when Empire came out and nobody knew that piece of information. I mean, we were all thinking that Luke and Leia were going to hook up, right? I mean, they were going to be right. And then all of a sudden, you know, the whole I'm your father and cutting his arm off and whatever. And then, you know, he saves the galaxy. But look, here's the cool thing. Many of the guys fought the idea like of going back and forth from light to dark. And you saw the development of Luke in those first 3 films. When I say first 3 films, 4, 5, and 6, because of the chronologically it doesn't fit, but first of release, you saw the development of him really battling the dark side, right? Really, and then embracing the light side. One of the best things in this film, okay, in all of Star Wars, was when he had the opportunity to end Darth Vader. He had the opportunity to then go to the dark side, and he literally took his lightsaber and threw it on the ground. And then the Force lightning happens. And here's the thing: we all cheered and was awesome because, you know, Vader turned at that point. You know, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie,
you've ruined it for everyone.
I ruined it. It's 1984. We had plenty of opportunity. So here's the thing: Luke is the staple. Here's the last thing I'll say. As a kid, I wanted to be many of the embodiment of characters that were in this movie. And if I was the good guy, almost indefinitely, I'm trying to be Luke, right? And as much as I love Chewie and some of the other guys, I wanted to be Luke. You know, we got the stick, we got our lightsaber, and you're going to be the good guy. And so you were always cheering for Luke. And yep, he's going to take my Rosie, which really is. There's a lot of people that are really going to get angry because they're not making it. They're not making it.
That's a prestigious spot. Look, if he cut off your top 4, that means something. So
yeah,
hey, great pick. Obviously, Luke Skywalker. You've said it. You know, you can't have Star Wars without Luke. I mean, it's the 4, 5, and 6. I mean, it's absolutely vital. I mean, that's where the story comes from. So great pick.
So look, we're going to go to our guests now. Let's start with Chris, since Chris went first in our intro. Chris, my man, tell me a little bit of your criteria and then jump into your Rosie.
My criteria changed from day to day, and as today progressed, this list has completely changed. I was gonna go for a shocker in one of mine, and I loved the Bad Batch, and as a collective of characters, I thought it was a great story to look at a group of rebel outcasts and follow that. And I was just like, this is really cool. Like, we follow everything on the Jedi and all their party and everything, and we get some good arcs for the villains, but we don't get to see that side a lot. So the characters I picked are characters that either myself or sharing fandoms with myself and my child have expressed interest in cosplaying as, or gotten some kind of memorabilia for, like, oh, that's really cool, so got a Dad of the Year shirt with a Darth Vader helmet on it. Like, I mean,
That's funny.
yeah, I could easily have 5 different lists of this and have honorable mentions that aren't mentioned on any of the other lists. So any purposeful reasoning can be tossed out of the window, and it's just what I was in the mood to talk about when I got closer to time to call you guys.
Love it.
Fantastic.
This character I'm about to introduce, however, has been on the list the entire time. The only character that has been on the list the entire time.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Mace Windu, man. He was one of the elected Jedi leaders, like, not only a powerful Jedi, but elected. So all of his peers were like, this dude is above reproach. We need him helping lead us. Jedi General in the Grand Army of the Republic. He has the killer lightsaber. He didn't stick with he didn't stick with the traditional green. Good guys get these colors, bad guys get these colors. He's like, my character is dope, and that's why I've got this lightsaber. When you come correct, or don't come at all.
I was going to say Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes.
That's all you need to say.
Samuel L. Jackson, he just didn't drop enough of his classic one-liners in this movie because it was PG-13. I hope he's one of those guys that I hope we get a backstory.
See, and so I will spoil this. All of my characters were picked based on how badly I wish they would get elaborated on more than we've seen them. I am perfectly fine if none of these characters ever get movies. I think in a universe as expansive as Star Wars, television is the way to go. If you can get 10, 30, anything 30 minutes or more, and you can get 10 to 12 episodes of any of these characters in, you're doing much more extensive storytelling than you can do on the big screen.
I love that. So that's a great pick, man. And honestly, it is a surprising pick. I think a top 4. Mace was in my top, 15 or so. I didn't realize that anybody was going to pick him, though. I love that pick. That's a great pick there. So, Thomas, I know you went a little different route. We've talked. We've had conversations. Tell me your criteria and tell me your Rosie.
My criteria, so the number 4 is the only canon person that is on my list. He's the only one, and he's probably my favorite Star Wars character ever. And it's because of an iconic scene, and we all know the scene, and we all know what happens. But it's Darth Maul when he that scene when he's fighting Obi-Wan, he's fighting Qui-Gon. I mean, dude, come on. He pulls out the lightsaber. One side goes, and then he puts his hand, and the other side goes. Bro, most intense moment that you'll watch in one of those movies. It's just absolutely incredible. And his backstory, if you watch some of the Clone Wars and stuff where he's at, you could just see all the backstory of Maul and when he was growing up and why he became a Sith assassin. And it's just really cool, man. He's just got a really, really cool life, and a double-bladed lightsaber. Like, come on. Is that not dope?
He looks
He looks amazing.
He is my favorite looking Star Wars character by far.
He's definitely up there.
He's the one character. So Darth Maul, to me, like you mentioned, he's canon. He's hardly canon. Like I feel like there was not nearly enough of him. Like so, he's in a little bit of that, right, of that movie, and really not much.
What really expands him is like, Clone Wars and Rebels.
Right.
Yeah.
In the comics,
they tease him in it's Solo, right?
Yeah.
He shows up in Solo.
Man.
Part of the what is it? The Red Dawn, Red or Black Dawn, Red Dawn, Red Dawn. I don't know.
and that bow staff of a lightsaber was a hard one to eliminate because again, like an original. I'm just not fighting with a stick. I'm fighting with a stick that is two of yours.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean,
he's just so cool, man.
Great pick.
I love Darth Maul is dope. He wasn't the canon guy I thought you were going to pick. So that is interesting. That is very interesting. All right, Andy. All right, so we're wrapped around. We have no Rushmores yet.
It hasn't happened.
So where are you going?
Well, so I know this. I won't have a Rushmore with Thomas. If that's his only canon one here, then we're not going to Rushmore. So, Thomas, I'm sorry. We're dressed the same tonight, but we're
always dressed the same.
That's true. You're right. If only I had your hair, that would be nice. But anyway, yeah. So my TJ Jazzy Jeff, I mentioned that I'm sticking OG just straight up. Like when I think of Star Wars, what I think of my TJ Jazzy Jeff, none other than Han Solo.
I knew you were going there.
Love Han Solo. And man, to me, just his attitude, kind of his little bit of being sarcastic, and he's a little bit of that kind of comic relief in the original ones, and then to see him kind of continue through the new ones too. Look, we're mentioning actors, right? We're mentioning Ray Park. We mentioned Samuel L. Jackson earlier, Mark Hamill, Harrison freaking Ford, man, come on.
Indiana Jones, baby.
Can't get much better than that. I love Han Solo. Look, I had Chewie, and now I've got Han Solo. I had to have them both together. I couldn't have. They can't be separated. It just can't happen, right?
Well, there you go. There's one of those duos. There's one of those.
That's a duo, and I've split it into two of my picks. But I love Han Solo. Love the Millennium Falcon. Love everything that comes with that. Love kind of him and Lando Calrissian's kind of back and forth and a little bit of that. I actually, and I don't know if it gets hate, but I really liked the Han Solo movie that came out. I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. I do wish that you kind of mentioned it too, Chris, like it could be a streaming, like a series or something. I would have liked a little bit more added to it, but I appreciated it. I thought it was cool. I mentioned it before, like the backstory of how Han Solo and Chewbacca get to be partners and be friends. That little bit of a mention of Darth Maul at the end of the movie. So it's a good movie. But Han Solo, just love his character, love what he brings to the movies, to the whole, just everything of Star Wars, the whole world of Star Wars. So that's my guy. That's my TJ.
I cannot hate on this pick at all. I mean, Han Solo he's a beast, man.
Yeah, and then look, the line, I love you, I know. Like, come on, man. How boss is that? How boss is that? I've
kind of used that, but my wife don't get it. Speaking of that, my wife has only watched one, the very first episode 1. Right. And I tried to get her to watch more, and she was done with it. Like my wife, just science fiction in general is pretty hard to get. Well, look, let me jump into mine.
Let's go to yours.
TJ Jazzy Jeff, and look, it's our first Rushmore because I'm going with Han Solo too. Look, this is one guy. I juggled a lot of people. I didn't juggle this guy. He is by far the funniest in the whole thing.
Right.
He brings the comedy. I love his interactions with Chewie. I love the Millennium Falcon. Look, I'm rocking the Millennium Falcon Kessel Run in 12 parsecs shirt, right? And so Han Solo is just so cool. Dude, I love Harrison Ford, man. Indiana Jones, like everything he does. He's just a great actor. He's like, I think he is like the most money-making actor in the history of film. It may have been taken over by someone else, but I know at one time he was that guy. And it was because of Star Wars. It was because of Indiana Jones. It was because of some of these big films. But look, I'm going to just go out here and tell you. We kind of talked about the original films. Episode, what is it? Episode 4, 5, 6, 7. Episode 7, Force Awakens. When that movie came out, we were all on the edge of our seats trying to see the cameos, trying to see who was coming back, who was not coming back. Are we going to see him? And there was this scene in there when he is where we're kind of on a ship, and you just know it's about to happen. The tension's building, and he comes in with Chewie with his gun. I think I started crying right there, right? Like I was like, there he is, he's there, yes. And he's all old, he's got a great beard, and you just love Han Solo. He's the sarcastic guy. He's never wrong. You said the Solo movie. I love the Solo movie. Didn't necessarily. I mean, you could kind of pick it apart if you want, but I love the fact that we got his backstory. I love the fact that I don't need to go read Legends to find out. I know they changed a ton about his backstory. A whole lot. Like in the original one, he's like he goes on to be a general in the actual the military there, the Empire or whatever it is, and then he gets kicked out and he becomes a smuggler. And I mean, we see a little bit of that kind of run, but Han Solo, I can't have this without Han Solo. I always wanted to get one of those tables of him like in the carbonite where it's like glass on top. Dude, love that. Love the Millennium Falcon. I love the whole idea of him being the pilot. My TJ Jazzy Jeff, without a shadow of a doubt, was on the mountain from the beginning. Han Solo.
And it's a Crushmore. I mean, come on.
Rushmore. Yep. Oh, and look, one of the saddest moments in the history of film.
Don't do it. I know where you're going.
Is when Kylo killed him.
No, I hated it.
I hate it. Look,
that's why I hate that movie.
I saw him on Jimmy Kimmel.
That's why I hate that.
And he says he had been trying to get them to kill him off for years. I'm like, what? Harrison Ford's like, yeah, but look, Harrison Ford's on Kimmel. He's got his earring in and everything. Dude, he's just so cool. I can't be as cool as Harrison Ford, man. I mean, just can't be.
He's just a cool guy. He's a cool guy. So, hey, there we go. Great TJ Jazzy Jeff. Obviously, I agree with it. And we're going to go ahead and move on to Chris. Chris, what you got for your TJ Jazzy Jeff?
My TJ Jazzy Jeff also happens to be a Crushmore.
Come on now.
And he is absolutely the extraordinaire space pirate in the entire series, Han Solo.
Come on, man! Triple.
When I was going through my list, I was like, I see, if done decently, the longest possible self-standing television series in a Han Solo story. If you were to give him the chance. I loved the movie. I don't know. I mean, I do know why it got so much flack on the internet. It's because the internet is for people to complain, and Star Wars fans are the worst. Are the absolute snobbiest fans
the
of
most entitled
all fandoms, man.
Group
of
fandom.
Like, you don't hear Star Trek fans saying, "Oh, Spock should have said it with this accent," or or Thanos was supposed to have 9 extra wrinkles on his face, or like they just let the stories be told. Nobody cares if Spider-Man shoots webs out of.
There's nothing worse when watching those fans like crash on Cad Bane. Because his eye was like not like this; it was like this. I'm like,
I don't know if there is the potential for a better standalone character as far as longevity goes in potential stories.
I could see a Mando type show,
right?
Yoda
done with Solo.
I would say Yoda would be the only one that could rival.
Yeah, but Yoda would be like watching 10 seasons of Mr. Miyagi's origin. I mean, it get where it goes, and the journey is like.
The journey's crazy. There's some videos and some books out there of him, and it's really cool.
Enlighten us on some legends, dude.
All right, so This guy is considered the most dominant, dangerous, the greatest Sith Lord to ever live. And his name is Tuluk Horde. He was not really like big with the Force, but he is the best duelist to ever live. He's by far the greatest lightsaber duelist ever, and it's no debate. At one point, his Padawans had not Padawans, but his apprentices had said, "This guy could take an army of 1,000,000 on by himself and win it single-handedly. He's that good." The only way and the only reason he died is because he got killed in his sleep. That's the only reason. And it was a guy that was so scared of him. It was an apprentice that was so scared of him because of how good he was with his lightsaber ability. And he's also legitimate. I'm looking at pictures of him right now just because he looks so cool. Like, his armor set is by far one of the coolest armor sets I think I've ever seen in any type of Star Wars. His story is crazy. He completely just like overtook everything. He became very prideful and just loved the fact that he was unstoppable in any duel that he ever did, and just no one could rival him. And that eventually became his downfall because he let his guard down. He's one of the only Sith Lords to ever take over 100 different planets in one lifetime, which is absolutely crazy. If you really think about that, he took over 100 different planets by himself.
That's interesting.
It's very, very impressive. He's really cool looking, dude.
You're taking
I
us
like
to
the
school.
pick,
He's awesome.
but when you said strongest Sith ever, I could have sworn Sidious had that title.
There's actually another guy. He's the next
canon
one.
And Legends.
There's a guy that's better than Sidious, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
It's wild.
Wow. So yeah, I know a few Legends. I know a few of them, and I've seen his name. I've never researched him. I do think I know your other two, and I was kind of thinking you were going somewhere else, but I thank you for bringing that on, because I am now going to look him up and
Dude, he's awesome. He's so dope.
Nice. So Andy, so we're halfway through already. This has been fast. Where are we going now, OG Master?
Yeah, here we go. We're going to go to, quite possibly, if you're going to put another, there's a few, but if you're going to put another character in that echelon with Luke Skywalker, as far as the importance to Star Wars, this would certainly be one of those. Actually, my next two would definitely be those. But I'm gonna go with my main man. Do or do not. There's no trying. We're going Yoda, Master Yoda in this place. He's my link. He's so awesome. He is very much like Mr. Miyagi, right? He is just this old, wise, but he can kill you if he wanted to, right? Like, he is so amazing. I remember, so like watching the 4, 5, and 6, and like this like weird, like kind of Jim Henson looking puppet type look of him. And then going to episode 2 when he's in there, and his duel with Dooku is so awesome. It's amazing. So good.
It's amazing.
I love that fight. When you're like, he's walking in on a cane and then he throws off his coat.
And he's like flipping off the walls.
He's flipping everywhere. I'm like, what in the world is this? Like, it's so cool. So also, I find it interesting. Obviously, the way that the movies came out, 4, 5, 6, and then we get a little bit of backstory and things like that. I find it interesting. As popular of a character as he was in the original, like from the beginning, he dies like right away. Like, he's not from old age, right? He just goes to sleep. He's done, right? He makes Luke some soup, and then that's enough, right? We're done. So like, but he's stuck, and he was such a popular character. And then in everything prequel wise, you see some Yoda in there. I mean, so much so that like in Mando, like we're like, I don't even care what this little thing's name is. It's Baby Yoda. Like, we want Yoda back, right? And like, that was just, so I love Yoda. Iconic, classic character. super powerful, super awesome. It's just like you don't expect to see the things that he can do and the power that he has in that size frame and how old and just anyway. Love Yoda. Yoda's my guy. My link.
Yoda was one of those guys on my mountain that was bouncing between Luke and Yoda and Chewie, and those were some guys I'm like. And when I said I can't believe I'm eliminating this guy,
that's
Yoda was the guy I was eliminating.
Dang it, you did it. You did it.
And look, I wanted him on so bad. I mean, if for nothing, because of the bad lip sync video of Sequel, right? If for nothing, I mean, at least so I could get that in there. But
I got you covered.
I'm going to tell you right now, Yoda was one of the greatest Jedi ever to live, and we don't know a single thing about his backstory. Nothing, zero. We don't know where he's from. We don't really know what kind of race he is. We don't know. I mean, how he gets like really old. You have, but every single character that has ever come from his planet or his race has all been extremely heavy in the Force, and so they're just all. Now we're dealing with Grogu and seeing where that goes. I just hope he's not the love child of Yaddle and Yoda. Yeah, that's.
I do.
No.
Come on, dude. That's great.
No, but anyways, so I love Yoda. I'm glad you mentioned the Dooku fight because that if I'm talking about fights, we've already named two of probably the top 4 or 5 battles ever in Star Wars, in my opinion, with the Darth Maul fight and now with the Yoda one, and I'm sure we're going to hear about some other ones in a little bit. But
Yoda's fight with Palpatine too, man. That fight was crazy.
Yeah. Yep. So great pick. Great pick.
All right, where are you going to go for your link though, Kirk? That's what I want to know.
All right, I'm coming in. I'm coming in hot, and I'm coming in with a Rushmore. I'm coming in with a Rushmore with my man Thomas, Darth Maul.
Nice.
I'm going with Darth Maul, and Darth Maul. Look, Duel of Fates comes in.
Yes, sir.
Bro, good. That freaking lightsaber was the coolest thing I had ever seen at that point.
Yeah.
And I have to remember that this is the first Star Wars movie I ever went and saw in the theater on opening night. I didn't get to see the original 3. We just didn't go to the movies when I was a kid. I remember my first movie ever was like Alien 3 or something. It was crazy. But I went and saw that movie when I was in the military. I was in New Mexico. I went with a bunch of friends. And we went opening night, like the Thursday night at midnight, and everybody's running around in their lightsabers and fighting before the movie in the aisles. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. And when Darth Maul came out and he hit that double, the crowd went nuts. It was the loudest I've ever heard a crowd in a movie theater. It was insane. And Ray Park doing all those like spins and fight. And I mean, he took out literally. I'm just going to go out here and throw this out there. If he doesn't kill Qui-Gon Jinn, we never have the rest of the episodes because Anakin never turns. Anakin never would have turned.
Agreed.
So Anakin under Qui-Gon would have been light side for the rest of the way. He wouldn't have gone dark. And so by doing that, it now flips to Kenobi, which then Palpatine takes over. That was a huge part of the movie. I hate the fact they cut him in half. I hate that. But if you know in the cartoons, he turns into one of the coolest freaking characters ever. He ends up into a trash heap that ends up on a trash planet, and he's surviving by eating the rodents, and he has spider legs. And then his brother comes and finds him, and he gets taken off, and the Force and all this, and gets his legs back. And he goes on this bloodlust of chasing down Jedi and Kenobi. And here you go. One of the worst final scenes of A Way to Be Dead was Kenobi killing Darth Maul. I mean, like literally, it happened like this. He came in, he went to the Qui-Gon side, shoom, you're dead. And I was like, no, like I wanted just this battle. But hey, it is what it is. Darth Maul, coolest looking character, tattoos on his face at like 8. You know, all that black is not really his skin. That's all tattoos. It's pretty cool. And so, yeah, he is just a cool character. You named some of the things earlier. My link and one of my favorites, Darth Maul.
Nice. Good one. Good one. I love it. He is a great pick. He is, going back to our Marvel episode, which was earlier this month. You guys know I'm a big X-Men fan. He played Toad in the X-Men.
Yes, he did.
So,
yeah.
Yes,
so
he did.
you get a little Ray Park action in Marvel too. So,
Yep,
love it. Darth Maul, great pick. Great pick. He almost made my list.
He also came back and did the Solo, and then they're talking about him coming back and doing some of these other things. Potentially, if he shows up in Mando or whatever, there's a lot of talk about him being a part of it still. So, yeah, that'd be really cool.
Chris, let's move on to your link. Who do you have at your number 2 spot on your Rushmore?
My link is staying in fashion with the previous picks in the link round on the Sith side, and who I believe to be the strongest Sith ever, and Darth Sidious. the dude, like he's created force storms that have destroyed planets. My experience with him, he essentially has the Infinity Stones as his, like, to tie universes together. He possesses the Infinity Stones equivalent of force power. He's out. Was it millions or billions of people that he possessed and drained their life force simultaneously? The dude, he carries 2 swords. Like, I'm a Sith Lord. I don't need a shield to protect myself. I'm going to occupy both hands. If he had 4 arms like some others, he would have 4 lightsabers.
I was going to say this. One of the coolest freaking scenes ever is when he raises up all of those destroyers. Dude, when that scene happened, I was like, cinematically, just watching it was just like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, he was strong enough to do that, though, you know?
Nice. All right. So we're almost done with our links, but we got Thomas. Thomas, go ahead and educate us. Show us again who's your link? Who's your number 2?
All right, my number 2 is a very old Sith Lord. He's one of the very first, and he's the strongest Force-using, Force person in the history of Star Wars ever. There's never been another one like him. His name is Marka Ragnis. He is absolutely insane. He is one of the only Sith Lords that never was hunted by Jedi because they were so scared of him. They would not go after him. No one would ever try to rival him. He is one of the few Sith Lords that died of natural causes, and after he died, he was placed in a tomb on the Sith planet, and in the tomb, his ghost actually roamed the hallways, and if somebody wasn't strong enough in the Force, he would possess that person. So he figured out how to possess people through the dark side of the Force. He's also one of the only people that has ever came up with a new type of Sith magic energy. Because he was so strong in the Force, he made this new energy, this new magic that the Sith could use. He never used a lightsaber. He actually carries this giant scepter with him, and the scepter is like his like stamp of I'm the ruler. But in the scepter there's a Sith sword. He's the only one that knows where it's at in the scepter. He's the only one that knows how to get it out, and he's so powerful in this dark magic that it actually is stronger than a lightsaber, and he can deflect bullets with it. He can fight with it. Doesn't matter. Usually by the time, if he ever has to pull out that sword, you're already dead. He's going to use the Force to just absolutely destroy you, and it's unbelievable. He also, this is probably the coolest thing I think about him. I didn't know this about him until not long ago. He created a pair of gauntlets that say somebody that's like doesn't have enough midichlorians in their system to become like force sensitive. These gauntlets, if they wear these gauntlets, will drain the force from force users and give that person wearing the gauntlets power to use the force. He made that. And I'm like, oh, what? Like, how did you do that? He's just really cool, man. Like, his story is super cool. A guy that is my number one. He actually gets to meet him in one of the books, and it's actually a really cool engagement that they have.
Is he in the games?
No, he's not. He's before that. So Tulok Horde, my other guy, he is in one of the games, but Marka, he's not in any of the games. He's in comics and books, and he's just, I mean, he's super, super cool, man. Really cool story.
I just think 3 guys I thought you were going to pick, and you haven't picked one of them yet. So 2 of those guys are off the list.
Yeah, there you go. You probably know the other one.
Yeah, I think I know the other one.
Yeah, sure. I think you do.
Man, thank you for that. So, okay, George, let's go. Who's the G-dubs around here? There's a lot of people left on this mount. Gosh, there's a lot of people.
Look, there are so many. When I tell you who my George is, the immediate reaction is going to be who didn't make the list, right? And we don't have enough time. We don't have enough time to list everyone who didn't make the list. I mean, it's insane. The expanse of the Star Wars universe is just insane, right? And they're making new people all the time because they can do that because it's fiction, because that's how fiction works, right? But anyway. So
not wrong.
Here's what it is. My number one, my George, I'm going Sith. Okay. I've had everybody so far has been good, has been, like right where, they're the good guys, right? They're the ones we cheer for. But I can make the argument that the villains from Star Wars make this thing so interesting. They make it so cool. This guy that I'm going to tell you, I don't care where he ranks on the most powerful Sith, because again, it's all pretend anyway. I really don't care. None of that matters to me.
You just ticked off a lot of people.
I Googled the list. Yeah, no, I don't even care. Look, if we already talked about Star Wars fans, whatever, but here's the thing. I've Googled it, like who's the most powerful Sith, and he makes the list, but he's always, he's down there, right? He's not going to be one of the top guys, but I don't even care. He's iconic. This is it. This is where it's at. And my second part of this is that I kind of get to cheat here and get a 2 for 1. And I'm going to tell you why. So my number one,
I knew that.
I'm going Darth Vader. You got to give me Darth Vader as my George. He's my number one. My 2 for 1, I get Anakin, right? Because he's the same guy. Listen, Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader. When I think just cinema villains, like let's not even think about just Star Wars. When I think of classic villains from movies in general, Darth Vader is probably on the Rushmore of that for me. Right, if I'm picking all villains,
absolutely,
when we've talked about a few things with him so far, but like when we get that classic scene,
no, I am your father.
When you find out that he's Luke's father, you're like, what in the world? This is so crazy. Like, it's insane, right? Even watching it today, like you all know it's going to happen, but that scene hits so hard every time it happens. It's so good. His voice, you get James Earl Jones as part of it too, right? You get James Earl Jones' voice.
Mufasa, not like Mufasa being a bad guy.
Right. Right. So there's all of that. You get his suit. It just looks so cool. This is what I think of when I think of Star Wars. I think of Darth Vader, right? I just think he is that guy. And then you go back to episodes 1, 2, and 3, and you're following Anakin, right? And you just get this whole we know a lot of backstory on Darth Vader, right? Well, there's some characters we've talked about that we don't know a lot of backstory on, right? That we haven't heard a lot about. But we got a lot of movies dedicated to Darth Vader, right? Whether it's just Darth Vader, or whether it's like we get Anakin and we're figuring it out from there. I love Darth Vader. I love the fact, Kirk, you mentioned it earlier, how he towards the end kind of starts turning, right? He sticks up against Palpatine, and he's all about his son there, and then you get the helmet comes off at the end. You're like, whoa, that's what that dude looks like. What in the world is happening here?
Which wasn't the original guy, because they didn't want him to look like that, right?
Right.
That guy just died recently. The guy who played Vader.
And then, man, so again, I mentioned I'm kind of cheating and getting the 2-for-1. The scene at the end of episode 3, when Obi-Wan gets the high ground, right? And Anakin is just sinking back into that molten lava, and he's burning up. I hate you. You're like, oh my, this is one of the craziest scenes ever. And then the end, when they're like putting him originally in the whole suit and everything. No, like that whole scene. It's so good. It's so good. I love it. Again, episodes 1, 2, and 3 get a lot of hate from people, but again, that was my wheelhouse. I remember going to the movies and seeing them. All of that to say this: Darth Vader is one of the baddest dudes on the screen. I mean, it doesn't matter. He is so good. They've created other guys who are more powerful, and they've created other things, and they can make things up in comics and movies or in video games and whatever. But it all comes back down to Darth Vader is the dude. He is evil. He is the villain of all villains, and that's why he's my George, my number 1. What do you guys think?
That is a phenomenal.
I mean, it should be everyone's if we're honest.
Yeah, if we're being honest about
should be
Star
everyone.
Wars and we aren't overthinking it,
Darth
Vader at least makes everyone's rush.
Yeah, for sure.
Except for Thomas's,
except for mine.
Except for Thomas's.
Except for mine.
I appreciate Thomas's list. I like it because I'm learning.
So are we about to have another triple Crushmore?
Yeah, it's probably going. I think it is.
Sorry, guys.
Bro,
Who you got? All right,
it is, bro. Darth Vader, man. Darth Vader. And look, so many good things about Darth Vader, to be honest. If we're talking about the hero of Star Wars, it's Darth Vader. I don't care what anybody says. He was a bad guy forever, all the way until the end. But he was the chosen one. He was supposed to bring balance to the Force. And at the very end, things happen. I mean, if you watch the story, it was a really depressing story. You know, he loses his love from a broken heart, right? But he doesn't even find that out until after he's like put together as Vader, which then just erupts him. But you could see it happening early in, like, I think it was episode 2, maybe, Clone Wars, when his mother is killed. He goes crazy and he says, I'm never going to allow this kind of thing to happen again. And it did. And that flipped him to another end. The whole idea that the twins were born and kept from him. And that is just remarkable writing. The one thing about this whole thing, everybody's got to remember, this thing started at 4. And so then they went back and wrote 1, 2, 3, which it's pretty easy to go, look, we love where these characters are going, and then writing in that end. But the transition between 3 and 4 was not great until they brought Rogue One in. And when they brought Rogue One in, that freaking scene with Darth Vader on that ship, just annihilating people. It's just insane.
I could have watched 2 hours of him just walking through ship doors.
When he's just like, boom, wham. You know, I mean, and the thing is, that right there, that scene just shows his dominance. But look, I know I wasn't going into like Legends or any of that. His comic books,
my gosh,
bring a lot of what he was, and he is so much stronger than I even imagined. Like, when I say strong, like, just he is legitimate, like, superhero type. Like, you know, you're thinking of Thanos, and you're thinking, we talked about like all these big mega villains. He can pretty much do whatever. And if it wouldn't have been for the fact that he was turned to the dark side because of his love for his family, and then he was turned back to the light because of the love for his family. There is a inkling in him that was always supposed to be him, the hero. And that is just really cool to me. From Darth Vader, you get Luke, you get Leia, you get Kylo, you get just a plethora of family and heroes and Jedis and whatever, and it's just really cool. And you learn about all the other ones. He is the only guy. Like immediately, it's like it's Vader and who else? Like, okay, do I want Luke? Did I want whatever? Big Van Vader. Do I want Lord Helmet on here too? Like, I mean, can I get everything possible? Because he is the guy. He's the George, and that's just how it's going to be.
Two things. Number one, we talked about how iconic the scene with Darth Maul against Qui-Gon Jinn, and because of the song,
I know where you're going.
Fates, the Imperial March, guys. When there is not a more intimidating song.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dude, it's so good. But my second point, and I think this is why there's I think there's more hate on episodes 2 and 3, because not necessarily because of the story. People don't like Hayden Christensen, didn't like his acting in 2 and 3. And I'll tell you this, it's a little bit whatever. But if you can get past that, those episodes are really great. I actually just recently rewatched them. I went through the whole thing again, and those are really killer movies. So anyway,
I blame George Lucas for that, man. He turned action fantasy series into Perry Mason kind of. Like, you could have told that story without going as far in it as you were. It shouldn't have been as much of a drama as it was.
All right, so we've got a Crushmore here of George's.
We got a triple Crushmore. We got 2 double Crushmores hanging on. What's going on, Chris?
What you got?
All right, so since you guys were just mentioning it, I am going to just throw the majority of another Rushmore into this real quick. We're talking about comparing villains of other universes together. And when I think ultimate villains, there's 3 of them that I 100% put on my Rushmore. And they're Darth Vader, Thanos, and Ganondorf, or Ganon from the Legend of Zelda series. I would have to do some research on the number 4, but these 3 guys are absolutely on there. There's no way Darth Vader wouldn't be on there. That said, since we're not talking about just villains in all fantasies or fandoms, I am going to not have a Crushmore. Because look, he was on my list until a handful of hours before we got on this call. If we'd have recorded this yesterday, he'd have been on there.
I'm glad.
I took off the Bad Batch, and I was like, what other tandem would there have been? And I thought about adding Chewbacca to my Han for a tandem, but then I really thought about it, and I think the storytelling and the bond shared between Kylo Ren and Rey Palpatine was one of the more intriguing of all character arcs in all of Star Wars for me. I liked we got a close enough representation of what Darth Vader's story was in Kylo. He idolized his grandfather and wanted to like when you see him, he's got the melted helmet on a stand in a private room for himself, and he talks to it. He that's his idol. That's his worship. And the dude is strong and intimidating, and he's got this look like, he's super powerful, and he's not even done learning yet. And then you've got Rey on the opposite side, and you're they totally could have went in the direction of, you know what, let's do this like they did the original trilogy, but let's end this trilogy with the pendulum swinging heavily in favor of the Sith and have Rey team up with Kylo on the dark side. And the next trilogy's arc is trying to overcome that. Now, I had that fan fiction so deep in my head, and I was just like, this is going to be really dope. I was not disappointed in the overall outcome, but I can look at it not be what I expected, and it still be good. Yes, there were flaws. There were things that could have been done. There was a lot of fan service in there. There were some characters that kind of got pushed to the side after we got more development from him earlier in 7, 8, 9. And I was kind of disappointed by that more than I was in the outcome for the main storyline. When Han jumps on Kylo's sword to further Kylo's cause, because he knows at that time Kylo is battling with leaving the dark side for the light. That point right there, when he tells him thank you, you knew from that point on, okay, he's gonna battle with it, but he didn't want to kill him. He did, like, you shake your head all you want, Andy. He didn't want to kill his dad. He knew it had to be done, and Han made the sacrifice for the light side, for his son's humanity.
Well, big problem with Kylo, well, not the big problem, but the big deal about Kylo was every other light side person was fighting to turn to the dark side, and he ironically was fighting to turn to the light side.
Yeah, dude, when that fight scene with him and Rey, and he calls his saber and ends everything, and then I was like, oh man.
The big thing that I have against fans, right, is very much shown in this story, because everybody that complains about like simple things like, how could Rey have done all that but not been trained? Well, because someone wrote it that way, and get over yourself, right? Like, and that's how they wanted to write it. Don't think so deep into this. That is dope.
We've got a little farm boy that calls a broom. Like I liked that they put stuff in there, kind of like, get out of here, peasants. You're not writing this story. Like, anybody can possess Force, and they don't have to be trained.
I'll say this: Force Awakens, I thought Kylo was going to be the greatest Sith ever. I thought they were going to write him to be like, to trump over Vader, to just overtake the whole thing. Like, he was going to be the guy, just because I just figured they wanted to have some kind of story arc to go into the next future, right? And so I loved what he was in 1, and then in 2, I say 2 of that Disney trilogy. So 8. It was really 7 and 8. And when what they did in 8, he kind of turned into a little sissy, and then, because that's Rian Johnson's writing. And then when he came back at the end, I wasn't okay. I mean, I wasn't against how it ended. I loved it. I just wish he wouldn't have died. Spoiler alert. Sometimes I think we kill these guys off, and I'm like, there's so much more you could do. Let's see it. And it's like, bye. See you later, man.
Yeah. So Kylo Ren, the emo kid. We love him. All right. So Kylo Ren, there we go. We've got
Kylo Ren and Rey, right? Kylo Ren and Rey.
Kylo Ren and Rey tandem. Yeah.
You're taking the 1-2 there. That's fine. I'll take it because I got technically mine's one person.
But so that was another duo. And I know he's not going to say them. So there are several duos that we missed: C-3PO and R2, right? Han.
Those are the droids we're looking for.
Luke and Leia, Darth Vader and Sidious, Darth Vader and his son. There's so many different storylines of 1-2, and that's a great one. So Here we go.
All right, Thomas, bring us home. What we got? Who's your George of your Star Wars characters?
This is my favorite character in any Star Wars that I've ever read, watched, played a video game. Doesn't matter what it is. He's my favorite one. It is Darth Revan.
Let's go.
He is absolutely... he alone could have single-handedly the best TV series if they did a TV series on him. But the story about him is really cool. He grew up and was trained as a Jedi. And then during one of the fights of the Mandalorian Wars, he actually went to Korriban and started learning about the Sith. He visited there, and that's where the Sith originated, was Korriban. And he became swindled, him and his best friend. His name was Alec, who later became Darth Malak. He's also really cool. Revan actually became Lord of the Sith, and it's just a really cool switch of how he became a Jedi and then went to become the Sith Lord. And then there was an attempt to have him killed by his apprentice, And the Jedi found out about this, and so they actually saved him, but wiped his memory, and then trained him as a Jedi again. And he had to go and fight his apprentice, who now was the Sith Lord. And it's just a really cool story. There's stuff in between. There's like lore of him getting married and having kids and then going back and fighting in a war again. It's just, I mean, there's so much with Revan that is just like untapped potential that they could talk about with. It's just, and he's one of the coolest. He's by far one of the coolest looking characters. If you've never seen him before, he's one of the coolest dressed Star Wars characters I've ever seen. And he dual wields, dude. His helmet is awesome. His helmet is really cool. I mean, just his entire...
It's very reminiscent of Knights of the Round Table.
Well, it also, if you look at it, it has a mix. Like, there's like some Kylo vibe in there. Like I would almost say Kylo kind of copied that Revan-ish type look. A cool thing about Revan, one of the guys, Tulak, Revan actually went and took Tulak's mask and made his own mask based off of Tulak's mask. So my number 3 guy and my number 2 guy and my number 1 guy all met each other. It's really cool.
Wow, really, really cool. So Revan was the guy that I thought you were going to have.
Yeah,
I also thought you might
so
go
cool.
Malik.
Malik is cool.
Nihilist.
I thought about Exar Kun. I thought about him.
So I was Googling him because I don't know who that is.
Dude, he's so cool,
you're talking,
man.
It looks really cool. But you know what's interesting that I came across a lot when I was looking him up is rumors of like being on the screen and things like that. And you know who's rumored 1,000 times in my Google search was Keanu Reeves, man.
Yes,
Keanu Reeves.
That.
I just see that a bunch of times. I thought that'd be cool.
I never heard that.
If he plays him like he played John Wick, yes.
Right.
If he
So a cool thing.
That's the only way you could do it.
Bill and Ted.
For real.
No.
A cool thing about Revan, he's now also canon. So I guess I have 2 canon guys, but he's like not.
Yeah,
well, he was a statue, right?
They named one of the legions after him in was it Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, there was that, and he was a statue as
They mentioned
well.
the Legion of Revan or whatever.
You see his statue in one of the movies.
Yep, it's in the last one. Yep.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
Well, man, hey, that is awesome. Look, I expected not. That's kind of what I expected. So, with that being said, there are a lot of guys that we missed, and we have a great movie, a great television show that's coming out. Obi-Wan Kenobi. I wanted him on my mind. I was trying to figure out between Kenobi and Yoda because I was going to have a mentor because both of them are really cool. Kenobi and Yoda are 2 of the most phenomenal Force users ever, and in all that. Obviously, all the females we missed, and there are some really good ones. Ahsoka, who's got a show coming out.
Oh yeah,
and Leia, of course. And then we kind of brought Rey in, but all that. And then what about the Mandalorians? Right, Mando, Grogu, Boba Fett.
That's the one
in those. Those guys are dope. Cad Bane is the guy that's kind of come back. Then you got all the rebels, Ezra and Zeb and Kanan and the Inquisitors and Empress and Savage
and
Jabba was one of the toughest ones for me to eliminate.
I wanted him in there.
I was telling Thomas this the other day. One of my favorite characters, and this is because of the action figures when I was a kid, had that Darth Vader thing in the case. The guys that were at Jabba the Hutt and those green guys that look like pigs that were now brought back in Boba Fett.
The guards or whatever.
That freaking action figure, I think, beat up every G.I. Joe known to man. My favorite.
Let me tell you this. Character, for a little while, the freaking Rancor, man. How about that?
Oh my gosh, the Rancor's so cool.
Rancor would have been a cool.
So look, that was our mountains. Tons of people we missed. And man, we could probably do a Rushmore of just eras. We could do a Rushmore of Sith, Rushmore of Jedi, a Rushmore of spaceships, a Rushmore of
creatures like Tauntauns.
Yeah, tons.
We could have a droids. We could have a droids episode.
Yeah,
I mean, one of my favorite was the Ewoks, man. Wicket, man. I love Wicket, man.
What about the Jawas?
Oh gosh. Cannon bought me a nice little coffee cup, and it's like 3 Jawas standing up, and it's like tall and skinny. It's cool. I almost used that one today. So look, that's it. It's our Star Wars. And look, I'm sure of it, because if there's any Star Wars fans in my social media, this is the one they're going to watch, of course. Welcome to the show. And you probably got things you want to say. You probably want to tell us how ridiculous it is. I'm just going to go out on a limb. I could rewrite this list right now today. Vader's still on it, and I can get 3 different ones. I could do that. So just as we go forward, though, I want you guys to drop in the comments. What is your top 4? Do you like Legends? Do you go canon? What's your favorite part about Star Wars in general? And, one of my favorite things, I was thinking about a second segment earlier today. I was trying to think, like, what if we just do a Rushmore of, like, which movies we like? And I was like, that would be a 7-hour freaking film. But, like, tell me in the comments which one of the Star Wars movies is your favorite.
Yeah.
And so just what's your George of movies? Just give me the George, and we'll go from there. But look, that's it.
There can only be one, and it's named appropriately. It's called Solo.
Boom, boom. Yep. Let's jump into our next segment, though. And I thought, look, because it's so controversial, because we can discuss this forever, I thought, what better than to do a fun little game with you guys and play Would You Rather? Now, look, if you've ever been to a youth group once in your life, they are going to play a Would You Rather before service and just give you weird things. Might do it in a small group as an icebreaker. But I thought, let's do it here and see what you guys think. All right. So I'm going to start us off easy, right? So this one is going to be Would You Rather Star Wars edition. I'm going to start you guys off really, really easy. Really. Would you rather be a Jedi or a Sith?
You say that's easy. That might be one of the most.
I mean, it's easy as in.
No, it's not.
It's easy as in we're starting it off with simple things.
Golly, let me tell you this.
Like, you knew I was going to go. That's the king of Would You Rather in this thing.
Right. Here's my thought pattern on this. Of course, we want to. I think in our hearts, we want to say Jedi. Like, we wanting to be a good person. Like, I know you mentioned 4 Sith, Thomas. So I know it's easy to tell you this.
One was half Jedi. Calm down.
But let me tell you, this is the thing, and this kind of goes back to my Anakin pick, or Darth Vader Anakin pick. There's a lot in Anakin's backstory that you can relate to, or not that you get all of that stuff, but like you can feel his emotions. Like, we've all dealt with emotions, and so like the Sith, very emotional. Well, not emotional necessarily, but they don't block it all out and everything. Gosh, do my credentials for the AG get revoked if I say Sith, or how does that work? Okay, nothing more than Sith.
I can go with it because I think that's where I'm at. I think that's where I'm at. It's cool. They got the cooler outfits. I think I'm going to go there.
Right. Imperial March is cooler sounding than whatever. So I'll say Sith. I would rather Sith. What do you guys think? I know what Thomas is going to say. I'm interested in both.
Idealistically, I would like to say Jedi. Realistically, every time I've played anything where I get to pick my character development, I'm dark side. It's just fun to explore.
There's so
Sin
much,
is fun.
man.
Sin is fun. We know that, right?
And look, it's not like these guys are just born pure evil. Like, they've got something that triggers them going there. It's not the ideology that they embrace. Something happens, and at least in my experience, something happens and it pushes them over the edge. And we have this society in place that, for the most part, keeps most people in check. But realistically, like they're traveling universes and planets, and of course, with these kinds of powers, the chances that I'm actually going to stay Jedi slim. Something's going to happen, and I'm going to be like,
so
why couldn't I
so it
protect
sounds like
this from happening?
Sith. Okay. We
Thomas,
got a
do we
little
need
Jedi
to,
that we
Thomas,
might want to do.
do we need to ask you, Thomas? I mean, we can assume.
So look, if somebody's writing my story out, I'm picking Jedi because they're not gonna lose. Like they're gonna win. But if I'm just doing my thing, bro, I'm going Sith
Kind
all
of like
day.
the Bible. We know how it ends, huh?
Yeah, I'm going Sith all day. If it's on me, I'm Sith. They have the coolest powers. They have the red lightsaber is so dope looking. Like,
Right.
come on, dude. And then they have like the black vibro blades that they can use. It's just, I mean, there's just so much with Sith. That's just so like a Jedi is like your basic white girl, and then like going to Starbucks and like buying a mocha frappe or whatever, and then you got the Sith that are like going to random. I don't know, dude. They're just crazy. It's great.
All right, so this was a fun one. We've already talked a little bit about it, but hey, I don't know. Maybe you're a little different, right? Would you rather have Kylo Ren's lightsaber or Darth Maul's lightsaber?
Oh,
You gave me.
Darth Maul. I like Kylo
Yeah.
Ren's, but
Darth
I
Maul.
mean, Kylo Ren just has some spikes coming out the side.
Can I take the broken crystal and put it in Darth Maul's lightsaber?
Okay.
Can I do that? Because that'd be kind of cool.
Like hand guards on each side of the.
Yeah, like that would be cool. You know.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Darth Maul too. I feel like these ones, like we're all picking the same thing.
Yeah.
Darth Maul. I mean, Kylo Ren's is cool. It's different,
For sure.
but think back to when you first we talked about it, right? When you first see, and then on both sides, you're like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Here you go. How about this one? Would you rather Disney make a standalone film of Jar Jar Binks or C-3PO?
Oh my goodness.
Jar Jar.
So
Standalone. Right?
series.
So
Well, I mean, it's a standalone film, so it's going to be his origin story, his basis. You're
So
going
who would I want the origin?
you're going to have a film.
we're really
following
following the
C-3PO,
programmer,
following Jar Jar Binks.
soldering some wires.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Jar Jar.
Yeah,
Here's
give me
the
Jar
thing.
Jar.
I think Jar Jar's where he's from is really cool. The whole underwater thing, like that's the whole biodome looking crazy thing that his people live in. Like, I think he would be cool. I think that he's another one that, you know, I did mention Hayden Christensen as a reason for the hate in the early movies. I think Jar Jar is probably that. I had a 7-foot statue of Jar Jar Binks in my house as a kid. That's a whole long story. So I'd probably say Jar Jar Binks. What you got, Thomas? Although C-3PO would be cool.
C-3PO would be cool. We already know most of his life.
Right.
Like, we
Yeah,
don't
but
know
they're both
anything.
just kind of irritating. So, like, you're going to
Well, they
this
are.
whole movie of which irritating person?
I think Jar Jar, he's funny.
Yeah.
Like, he makes you
I think he
laugh.
gets a lot of extra hate.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Jar Jar is really cool, and I have to go back to it. Yeah, there it is. Jar Jar, baby.
That's so
Can I
creepy.
change
Jar
my
Jar.
pick now that I've seen that?
All right. So you're hiring a bounty hunter. Are you hiring Boba or Mando?
For bounty
If-
hunting.
If we base it on the original lore, then I'm picking Boba Fett. But based on the television series, I'm going Mando.
This one's easy. I'm going Mando. It's Mando all day, every day, twice on Sunday. I mean, I'm gonna pick Mando. I think if you're gonna give me Mando with the sword too, like, am I getting that? Am I getting that too? Or the dark saber or whatever? If I'm getting that too,
Possibly.
to see how he protected Grogu too, like, I don't know, that I just got a lot more with that, and maybe it's because I'm more. It's like a recency effect. Like, I just feel like I'm more connected to Mando than than Boba, but I'd go Mando.
Can I go Grievous? I'm just kidding. I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. Boba's just so cool to me. I think I'm going Boba.
Okay.
Great. That's a good pick. Okay, so would you rather?
Wait. Who are you picking?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going Mando.
Okay.
Yeah. I almost put Mando on my list. That's for sure.
Right.
And I even had the mask ready in case I wanted to change it.
If we would have recorded after the next season dropped, closer to it, he'd have been on my list.
All right, so here's a good one. I got only a few more. Here's a good one. Would you rather have, it's an either or, would you rather have Vader as your dad or Palpatine as your grandpa?
So, they both suck.
They both really do suck. Wow.
Yeah. Well, here's okay. I'll give you my.
That make me Luke. If I'm Luke, then I'm picking Vader.
Oh, okay.
Here's my thought. I'm going to go Vader because at the end, Vader helped his son, whereas Palpatine doesn't care.
Palpatine killed his son. So.
Yeah, right. So I guess for better chance of survival, I would say Vader is my dad.
Yeah, I see that.
I think I'm going with Vader just because I one year dressed up as Vader for Halloween. So
there you go. Also,
that's reason enough. That's reason enough. Hey, look, Vader is like George. He does go light. He is the chosen one, and his son is one of the greatest light wielders ever. I think without question, it has to be Vader.
But let me say this real quick about Vader, though. Imagine sitting down listening to your dad talk. Would you rather hear James Earl Jones' voice, or would you rather hear Dark Side? What do you want to hear? What do you want to hear sitting down, listening, and getting some knowledge? I want James Earl Jones' voice all day.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So this one's a fun one. All right. You are having to defend your land. You're defending your land. We're in a massive Star Wars, and you only get to pick two teams to hire. You're either going to have stormtroopers or battle droids. Who's protecting your land?
Oh, easy. Battle droids. Stormtroopers can't hit anybody. They're missing every shot.
Are pretty bad too.
Yeah, I know. But there is a clear stigma against stormtroopers missing the. Give me droids.
What if it's Finn?
Well, he's one to defend it. Who am I defending this against? I need to know that.
The Empire. The Empire.
The Empire. Okay, the Empire is okay.
Now you want to revert your answer?
No, I don't know if I'm going to. So I get just droids. Are you talking a specific? I want the roly poly, the ones with the force field around them.
Those guys.
Yeah, give me those. Guys
that get their heads cut off all the time by Yoda and stuff.
Yeah. But Yoda's not attacking me, so we're good. All right, what do you guys got? What do you have? Stormtroopers? I feel like I'm alone on the droids, but it's okay.
I'm torn. I think I'm going to say troopers.
I think I'm going to go troopers too.
I'm going Ewoks.
Yeah,
which leads into my next one. Would you rather have a pet Wookiee or a pet Ewok?
Oh, Ewok.
Pet
Ewok. A guard Wookiee for sure.
All right. So all of y'all are going Ewok because those are cute. Yeah, really cool. All right, final one. This one's great. Would you rather piggyback on a warm tauntaun or ride bareback on a big shaggy bantha?
Oh. Tell me what's the first? What are the options?
Piggyback on a warm tauntaun or bareback on a big shaggy bantha.
No saddle. We're just talking straight fur to skin contact. So I'm going to go Bantha. I just think the Banthas look cooler. I'm worried about comfort on either of them. It's going to suck. There's no comfort. So we've thrown that out. They can't even be which one's less? I just think I would look more intimidating riding up on a Bantha than I would riding on a Tauntaun.
Yeah, I think I'm going Bantha for a different reason.
What's your reasoning? Because
Tauntauns live in the coldest planet in Star Wars.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Like, yeah. And them Banthas are in one of the hottest though. So
Banthas are in like famine land.
I think I'll take a Bantha for 500 there, Alex.
So we've learned a lot about each other and through our would you rathers. A lot of them we've agreed on. And I'm just picturing.
I'm actually shocked. We got a lot of Jar Jar love. Got a lot of
I was the only guy on Team Droid.
So look, this is the end of our Would You Rather with Star Wars. It's the end of episode 21. I wish Star Wars had 21 episodes. I would watch them all. And this is where I come to the end. And look, Star Wars might not be your thing. That's okay. Just tell me who your favorite guys that you remember seeing on TV. Like whatever it is, just throw them out there. Do me a favor. As I always say at this point, if you've made it this far in our journey, you've taken the trip through the Galactic Empire, you've gone light speed with us in the Millennium Falcon. If you've done this with us, gosh, you must be a fan. Hit the like, it's free. Hit the sub because you want to see us again later because we got some fun stuff coming up. We got video games coming up in the future. We got some summer fun, childhood nostalgia, football, basketball, you name it. We're going to do all those. But next week, we are jumping in because Maverick's coming out. We are going to be doing a Rushmore of sequels and trilogy franchises. So don't miss that. And it's going to be real fun. So just in the comments, jump in all there. Like, subscribe, all that. And so, man, hey, Andy, how we finish, man?
This is the Rushmore Show where it's all about your top 4 and nothing more. Peace.